What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So yesterday I posted out my Stormclaw Druid build guide for pushing ABATTOIR ZIR content with the Tears of Blood glyph incorporated in it. And one of the biggest requests I got in the comments section was if I could possibly go over my stats that I have, so that way you guys have a better understanding of what I'm actually using while I'm completing those tiers of the ABATTOIR ZIR. So as promised, that's what we're going to be doing in the video. We're going to be looking at all of my stats on my character, going over my gear pieces as well as the affixes on my gear, talking about where we can make improvements, and we're also going to be talking about maybe some ideas that I have to increase the overall damage for the build while maintaining the current survivability, so that way we can push into higher tiers. I've also incorporated a completion of a tier 5 run at the end of this video, so if you are interested, go ahead and stay tuned for that. It was a pretty rough run, and we didn't have the best of luck in terms of shrines, but we did manage to get it done. Now, with all that being said, let's go ahead and look at the build overall. So going over the basics first, our attack power is just under 21,500, our armor is sitting at just over 8,300, and our life is sitting at just over 9,000. Now, when I do switch over to werewolf form, you'll see that my armor does go up to 14,000, and that's a pretty nice place to have it when you're running ABATTOIR ZIR. Now going over our stats page, you can see that all of my resistances are capped, and that's exactly what you want to have when you're running in-game content. And then for a couple key stats that we're going to go over, so for critical strike chance, we're currently sitting at 41.9%, and for our critical strike damage, we have 378.6%. Our all damage is 254.5%, and then for our damage to close enemies, we're currently sitting at 176.7%, and that gives us a lot of multiplicative damage out of the Thunderstruck node. Then we have 110.9% damage towards crowd-controlled enemies, and then 100% damage towards enemies that are poisoned. And again, our armor while in werewolf form is 68.3%, and that's why we can get up to over 14k. And then we have a big chunk of damage reduction from damage over time effects, and that's at 40%, and most of that is coming from my amethysts on my gear. Now for our damage reduction while injured, it is currently sitting at 74.1%, and we are running resilience. However, I do think there is a bit of diminishing returns here for that third roll, and I might swap that out, just keeping resilience for our vampiric power, and then try to add some damage into my build somewhere. Stay tuned for that, because I have some ideas for this build going forward that might actually boost up the damage while maintaining survivability to allow us to climb even more tiers. Then for our movement speed, we are at 147.2% before any buffs from our gear. And then our lucky hit chance is currently sitting at 29.4%. Now moving on to our gear pieces, like I said, we're running the Tempest Roar on the helmet. I have Symbiotic Aspect on the armor, and as you can see here, I do have a damage affix that I'd probably like to swap out for a damage reduction affix, but then we have a pretty low roll on total armor, which I would like to boost up, and then we have some damage reduction from close enemies, and then the big one is +4 ranks to Earth and Bulwark. Then something different on the gloves here compared to the build, you'll see I do have Rapid Aspect on the gloves, and I do have the Conceited Aspect on the amulet just to test it out to see if I notice any significant difference in my attack speed versus damage overall. And we're currently sitting with Willpower, Attack Speed, Crit Strike Chance, and Lucky Hit Chance with some pretty nice rolls there. Then for our pants, we are running the Mending Stone aspect, like I said previously. And then we have a nice big armor roll on our pants, a max life roll, which I would probably prefer another damage reduction affix there, and then damage reduction from poison enemies, and then damage reduction while injured. For our boots, we have the Ghost Walker, and it's not a perfect roll, but 22% is pretty nice. Then we have a roll of Intelligence, which I'd like to get something different, maybe some Willpower or something like that. And then we have some Movement Speed, a total armor roll while in werewolf form, and damage reduction while injured. Then for the Great Staff of the Crone, as you can see here, it's a pretty mid-tier Great Staff of the Crone. A lot of damage to be had here. I don't have a really good roll there on damage to close enemies, and an 892 weapon, I could definitely get a lot more damage out of my staff. Then for our amulet, like I said, we did swap the rapid aspect, so we have Conceited on our amulet now, and I am just testing it out to see if I like it more. And then we have some movement speed, total armor while in werewolf form, damage reduction while injured, and a pretty low roll at that, and then +3 ranks to Envenom. Now, I will probably have to get another amulet to get a better roll on damage reduction while injured here, because this one is currently costing me quite a bit of gold to roll, so I will probably spend some time farming up amulets. Then for our rings, you'll see we got Crit Strike Chance, Vulnerable Damage, Damage to Close Enemies, and Lucky Hit Chance. I definitely would prefer to have some Critical Strike damage or damage to distant enemies instead of Vulnerable Damage. And then for our second ring, we have Crit Strike Chance, Damage to Close Enemies, Damage to Distant Enemies, and Lucky Hit Chance. Now you see here, I did swap out the diamonds on my jewelry for skulls because I kind of had to. I re-rolled my necklace to get that damage reduction while injured, which removed one of the armor rolls, and the chest piece is missing 10% total armor there, so I needed that extra armor. So what I did was, like I said, I put skulls on my jewelry, and I went into my abilities, and I went ahead and put in 2 more points in Ancestral Fortitude so I could remove those gems, and I just took the 2 points out of Digigrade Gate here. So that's really it, guys. I hope that clears up some questions overall for what I'm running and what the stats I currently have are. If you do have any other questions, go ahead and post them down in the comments section. I will be grinding out some gear pieces because I am trying to adjust some things to make this build better overall in terms of damage while maintaining the survivability I currently have. And I will be trying to push a tier 6 dungeon pretty soon. But with all that being said, I hope you guys are having a good day or a good night wherever you're at, and peace out. I will see you in the next one.
Wait a moment.